Rip'n Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rip'n Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Good evening and welcome to Tin Hat Thursday. It is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. I am Screech.
And I am Red.
And we want to welcome you to Tin Hat Thursday. We are perched above a very rainy western shore of Lake Michigan this evening, folks.
Yeah, and it's starting to flood, actually.
If we lose you, they're expecting some big storms to be rolling through our internet, and our power has been off and on for a while here. So,
and surrounding communities have lost power completely.
We've got some icing in Wisconsin, so I'm just putting that out there right off the bat that if you lose us, it's probably on our end and not related to technical difficulties, but weather manipulation.
Yeah.
So we are here to talk 360 degrees of truth tonight, folks. And tonight we're going to be talking about the craziness of space travel and moonwalks. We're going to get to that soon. But if you're listening on YouTube or Rumble, feel free to hop on over to the Backstage at ripnrabbithole.com.
And the link is in the chat on both
platforms.
Rumble and on YouTube.
And we encourage you to jump into the conversation tonight, folks. We want to see some comments in both Rumble and in YouTube.
And there's a slight, I don't know if there's a slight delay on YouTube or not, but I know there is a slight delay on Rumble. So if you say something, it might be delayed just a little bit. But if you're in the Backstage Lounge, then, you get everything real time.
And there's plenty of seats available in the backstage because, of course, we have a Supreme Court race coming up next Tuesday, right. And there's a debate going on right now. Ooh, and there's thunder cracking, so thunderstorms and debates going on. So
I wasn't expecting the thunder.
I was, because I looked at the radar right before we went on, Red, and there's a dandy coming through. That's why I wanted to put the warning out.
Lovely.
We better have a candle handy. We might be sitting in the dark soon.
Well, we do have the flashlights handy because I was goofing with them earlier. So.
All right, so we're all set. So if we go dark, folks, it's not our fault.
No, not this time. Usually it's the technical difficulties.
Usually it would be our fault. But tonight, we're not going to take credit for it if we go dark.
No, and I tell you, the rain has really picked up because it's kind of loud. I don't know if you can hear it or not on the microphone, but
probably
it's pretty loud.
They probably can't hear it, Red, but they might hear a crack of thunder occasionally.
Right.
And we're going to get into that. We're going to ask you to put on your tin hats, and if you want to have your voice heard and chime in on this topic, we will ask you again to come over to ripnrabbithole.com. That's RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. You will click on there's a 24/7 tab in the taskbar. Click on that little guy. Scroll down until you see the VIP Backstage Lounge. Click on the big red Enter Now button. And it's going to bring you to the backstage. It will, if you've never been back here before, it's going to ask you for some permissives. It's going to ask you to put in a name and give access to your microphone. And if you want to speak,
raise your hand and speak.
Raise your hand, and
wait till you're called on.
And we do ask you to raise your hand if there's something you want to say.
Yes.
And we're just going to have some fun tonight, but before we do that, Red, there is some really big news that came down today.
Yes, and I mean, in my opinion, the whole country's been basically waiting for this kind of a news. I think it's excellent news.
So they vacated Tina Peters' sentence this afternoon. Now, it doesn't mean that she's walking out the door of a prison free tonight, but there is going to be a re-sentence, and I've seen some reports that sentence could actually go down to time served,
Yep.
and she could be free. And I suspect
Oh,
that
I'm
that's
getting
what's
chills.
I suspect that that's what's going to happen. And this is big news, not only for Tina Peters, someone that we've all been praying for Tina to be released from prison.
And a
But
lot of us have sent letters to the governor,
in
pardon
Colorado,
her, get her out.
and hopefully she will be free, and maybe this will bode well for Harry Waite, who's facing sentencing of his own here in Wisconsin. Maybe they will look at what's happening in Colorado, uh, and we'll talk a little bit more about a project that we have for you for Harry
Yes.
Waite, but we'll do that at the halfway point, I think.
Yep,
But
yep,
great news out of Colorado, in my opinion, Red.
yep. I agree 100%. And, I don't know how many people seen this. Let's see. Today's Thursday, so I believe it was on Tuesday. President Trump finally signed that executive order about the mail-in ballots and the voting. So how that might play into Harry Waite as well remains to be seen. But I know President Trump kind of made a little joke about it, saying, "Yeah, this is going to end up in court,"
and it will,
and it
that's
will.
why I don't put much faith in his executive orders, because
Not
every
yet.
one of them has been challenged in court. The good red states will follow his executive orders, and states like where we live, we have a governor who just pushes back against everything, and an attorney general who wants to,
Attorney General that wants to put everybody that tries to fix the elections in jail.
So,
but a good way to get around that,
pass the SAVE Act would be
a
good start, and we're still waiting. Whatever.
We got too many wimpy Republicans, rhinos. I'm just gonna call them rhinos, plain and simple, because
they're rhinos, and
there's no reason why they couldn't pass that SAVE Act in the Senate. There's no reason.
No, and they made their changes and sent it back to Congress, and we'll see what happens with that. But at this point, Red, that I'm banking on that happening, because if it doesn't, I hope something happens that we just don't even have the elections.
Exactly. Which is still a possibility from, if you want the tin hat version, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tin hat version next week.
Yes,
we'll let you run the show next week.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You're more well versed in that crazy stuff.
Well, not 100%. I just know what I've learned, and whether it's all true, that's why we call it the Tin Hat Nation here, or Tin Hat Society.
So that news came out of Colorado, and we did have some news that dropped out of Washington today.
I don't think I heard that one.
Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Was relieved of her duties.
Which I have a big clap for, because I'm sorry, but I never liked her.
Well, a lot of things haven't.
I don't trust her.
A lot of things haven't been done that we've been asking for.
Exactly.
Under her watch.
Now, it remains to be seen who is put in place of her. I know that there's a temporary person, but I'm just wondering if this is when hopefully Sidney Powell comes back and releases the Kraken, like they said at the very beginning.
Well, I guess time will tell.
Yes.
But anyway, big news out of Washington, big news out of Colorado, and we're just going to keep our fingers crossed, and we're going to say our prayers tonight that this is a step in the right direction for Tina Peters. I mean, that would just be so awesome.
It would be amazing
if we found out that
prayers answered in her
re-sentence, that she will
walk out of those prison doors
with time served, which is what should happen. She never should have been.
No, she shouldn't have ever
imprisoned to begin with. So
now, I did not catch, when are they planning on doing this resentencing? Do you happen to know?
That I don't know.
I didn't.
I would think it would be expedited
pretty quickly.
I would
look at it. I would think so.
All right. So right now we're gonna. I do want to welcome some folks into backstage. We've got Michelle and Anita and Wetzel and Captain Pete and Nan. I don't know if the Rippin' Rabbit is back here or not. Welcome everybody, and who do we have?
And you got Wetzel?
Do we have anybody else over there on the other platforms, Red, that you can look up?
Oh, hang on. They don't have like real names on YouTube, but it's YSICJMLB
I know that
is in the
person.
house.
I know
You
that.
do?
No, I don't. I'm just
Oh.
kidding. Welcome and thanks for joining us
Yes, welcome.
on YouTube. We'll look forward to your. Uh,
So, in the chat, oh, I think I do know who it is. Hi guys, it's really bad here in Wauwatosa. Whoops, where'd the chat
I
go?
think I know who it is.
Yeah.
That would be the person we just met recently, right? In person.
Met in person, yes.
Right. We've known her we've been social media acquaintances for several years, but we had the opportunity to. Yeah, they're getting some nasty stuff down that way.
Let's see. All the street lights are out, and it's pouring like crazy, and the sky keeps lighting up.
Yeah, well,
we just got a big crack here, a thunder boom.
Speaking of krakens, we had a big kraken happening right above our house.
And then she also says, great news about Tina Peters today. Let's pray that they release her. Then she said, Wisconsin is still doomed on Tuesday. I wish his executive order could be retroactive. I have to agree with you there.
Yeah, I think we got big trouble coming on Tuesday. I'm with you.
Yep.
Whatever the name was that was put in there. I can't even say it.
Yeah.
So.
And then she also says, what is Ron Johnson's views on the SAVE Act? You know what? That's a good question. I don't think I've ever heard.
He's been pretty quiet in the Senate.
He's been very quiet.
He hasn't said a whole lot. I don't know how he voted. I think he supported it, but I can't say for sure. But we'll see. We need it. What are you smiling about, Red?
I was just reading her next comment.
You gonna share it?
Yeah. Well, you were talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, that's a first.
I know. No, I'm just kidding. You do it to me more. Anyway, you rock, Red. Let's probably wear our tin hats. LOL. I am over the moon about Bondi getting fired. I pray that Sidney Powell gets in. We need Led Zeppelin working with Bobby. Sorry. Not Hobby. See, I can't even read. And then we do have Dope Nose. Welcome. In the YouTube chat. I had to stop and think of which one I was on. And then we have In the Studio 9127. Hello.
In the studio.
Yep. And the YSICJMLB says, yep, it's me, Mary. So welcome,
right,
everybody.
Mary's much easier to remember.
Yes.
Than YAS, whatever. So, Red, because we're going to ask people to slip into their tin hats tonight, as we look at what happened yesterday, the other big news out of the world yesterday, and
literally,
I'm not talking about President Trump,
no,
stepping to the podium last night. I'm talking about what happened a couple hours before. But before we do that, we should warn people, Red, that if you live in one of these areas where the skies are a cracking, take the hat off before you go outside.
Yes. We don't want you going outside with the tin hats on.
No.
Because that could be very dangerous.
It could be dangerous. So pop the hat off if you got to let the dog out and you're going to be stepping out into the cracking skies.
Yeah, because we don't want that lightning getting you. Thunder's okay, but not the lightning.
Where there's thunder, there's lightning, though.
I know.
All right,
and
Red,
if there isn't, there's something wrong.
So, Red, yesterday, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. I don't even know. Artemis.
Yep, Artemis.
Artemis 2.
Oh, it's 2.
Or this is Artemis 2.
Okay, so where was the number 1?
Had liftoff yesterday, and as they were counting down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What I expected instead of liftoff was
April Fools. So was I.
I mean, I was really.
I seriously thought that that's what was going to happen.
And I think we need some feedback because we might be the only crazy ones, Red. Or if you think, and let's go back to the Apollo program in the 60s and the early 70s. If you think we landed on the moon and swung a golf club, drove around in a cool little Jeep, planted an American flag, if you think all of that happened, let's put 100 in the chat tonight. And we'll just wait a minute until everybody has a chance to chime in.
But
So-
if you don't think it ever happened, put 200 in the chat.
Ooh.
We're gonna
We're really gonna.
yeah, those are from earlier.
Okay.
Because
All right. Nan
Nan,
says 200. Nan's not a believer.
I'm not a believer.
Yep, it's a 200.
I'm a
It's
200.
200 for me.
Yep.
Too
Definitely.
many fishy things, Red.
Anita's a 200.
Anita's a 200.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny, Red, and I've talked about this before because I tried to approach this subject before you joined me, you know, when I talked about this. And I remember 1969, it was July of 69, and I was an 8-year-old boy, and my grandpa was so fired up about this idea that we were going to land on the moon, and I remember sitting in our living room with Grandpa watching. Oh, Eric says, Eric.
Oops. Eric is a 100.
Eric
Yeah.
believes. That's
Yep.
good. So Eric brings a different
Perspective
to
things. Yep.
us, and I hope that Eric will chime in because, you know, there's just so many things, Red, about that those moon landings back in the 60s and 70s that I struggle with.
Well, and I mean, you think about it now, where did all the technology go? Where did all the information that they had from back then, where did that go?
I know. I mean,
Where did the footage go?
I've seen. Now, I did a little additional research today, and they said, well, no, the original plans are still there. It's just they can't, because technology has changed. It's hard to incorporate the old into the new. Now, they did admit that the footage, the original non-grainy footage that was taken, that they had, was taped over. You're smiling, Red. What are you seeing there?
In the YouTube chat, I don't know what that was.
That was probably my Bluetooth.
Dope Nose says, I'm in Florida. I watched the shuttle go up from my backyard. Pretty sure it was just a big bottle rocket they shot out into the ocean. Mary, how in the world did we talk to someone on the moon when I can't even talk to my daughter in Michigan because of poor cell service? I agree.
There are just so many things that I'm confused about, and like everyone else in this country, you know, I just accepted it because we saw it on our TVs, Red. We saw it right there.
I didn't.
No, you weren't even alive yet.
I wasn't around then. Ow. See, he's whacking me now. He's always saying that I'm whacking him.
But
That was
I
the
remember
chair.
watching it with my grandpa, and how I remember my grandpa being so excited about that first moon landing. And watching it on our big screen 26-inch TV console.
Was it black and white?
It probably was. I'm certain of that.
But you know, oh, I don't know if you uploaded this video or not, of questions about why have we not gone back to the moon, you know, since the 60s. And you have Buzz,
70s.
well, 70s, whatever. You had Buzz Aldrin even say, when a child asked him that question, and he said, you know, I wonder that same thing myself, why we haven't gone to the moon. And I'm like, wait, did he just really tell on himself?
Right. Well, and so this is what, who was it that was in Florida, Red?
This, whoopsie. It
Was that Dope?
Yep, Dope.
So
Dope knows.
Dope watched it out his back door yesterday.
Yes.
I imagine it was quite a scene to watch that bottle rocket go up. Whoa, hold on a minute, Red. Hold on a minute, Red. I hear things in my head. I got stuff going on in my head.
Okay, this isn't wrestling. You're not Randy
Wow.
Orton. You don't have the voices in your head. I'm sorry. I like watching wrestling.
That was enough to creep me out.
Right. So, Eric says we already had Tang.
We did have
Yep.
Tang,
Yep.
and I believe that was a drink for the astronauts.
Correct. And Catherine Bertelli, because it wasn't really to the moon. And Anita says, "Is the president going to talk to them on a landline like in the 70s?" That's a great question. I didn't even think of that. Because Mary brought up about talking to the astronauts back then, and we have poor cell service. But I just didn't dawn on me
Well,
until Anita said, "Hey,
now
it was a landline. It wasn't
I,
even cell service."
I'll give you, NASA was probably a little more advanced than where I was growing up, but
Yeah.
at that time I had a party line. There were 4 houses that shared one line.
Maybe the president of the United States actually had a one party line at that time. He didn't have to share it.
But Red, I want to play something because it's a little.
Maybe. I don't know
No,
what that
no,
is.
that's
Oh, okay,
it,
okay,
the show stopped recording on our end
okay.
because my computer's full.
Oh, they use satellites. I didn't know they had satellites
I,
up back then, but I wasn't
so
alive, so
no, there were satellites back then.
okay.
No, but
To be fair.
here's a couple things happened that were said yesterday that I found a little concerning, and I want to know. I want to play it's just a snippet from President Trump last night, because one of the first things he talked about was Artemis 2 and the 4 Brave. Uh, Very diverse
Diverse. Yep.
astronauts that we had, because for this trip, I will point out that we had an American white Caucasian male, we had a female, we had a black man, and we have a Canadian. So we have a nice diversity. The only thing we don't have in the mix at this point is a transsexual,
Yep.
or from somebody from the LGBTQ plus whatever community.
Yeah, they probably
At
wouldn't know
least
how
not.
to handle it.
So we'll see. Maybe on Artemis 3, which is, I think, the next one, bound for the moon, where they're actually
Yeah,
going to
because
land. But
this one's not actually landing
no,
on the
no,
moon.
they're just going to
It's
go. They're
just
just
gonna
going to
go
go around
around
the
the
moon.
backside.
They're going to go around
And
the moon.
that's when somebody brought to my attention today when Pam Bondi got fired. Well, now that they're going around the moon, the dark side of the moon, that's when they're gonna release the Kraken. They're gonna find the Kraken.
You know what? I should have played that. I should have cued the Dark Side of the Moon tonight. But President Trump last night, Red, when he started his speech, talked about what happened yesterday out of Florida. Go ahead.
Just a second, because you mentioned the tranny. Anita brings to our attention. Maybe one of them is already a tranny.
And maybe, yeah, maybe
That's a
one
good
of,
point.
we don't know. So maybe I misspoke.
Right.
They didn't announce we have a transsexual on the,
Or a member of the LGBTQ
or a Furby or
plus.
anything else.
Yeah, Furby.
Who knows?
Anyway, you're gonna.
So what I was going to say was President Trump said something, and I want to know, what everybody else thinks. Did he drop a truth bomb,
Okay.
or was it a slip up on the part of our president? I've got it queued. Let's play it.
Eric said the dark side of the moon is his kind of music. Okay, here comes President Trump.
Thank you very much. My fellow Americans, good evening. Let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will.
All right. It will fly further than any manned rocket has ever flown.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Now,
little...
I happen to know that Apollo 8, along with, I believe it was 5 others when I did my research, all went around on the dark side of the moon.
Right. Or at least they say that's what they say.
That's what we were told, right? That's what the history books will tell us. President Trump suggests that Artemis 2 will travel further into deep space than any manned spacecraft ever.
Yeah, I find that kind of interesting, don't you?
So I want to know now. We all know that truth bombs are dropping all the time, and we're things are being handed to us, and
that's if you know to look for them, or that it's possible that he's giving truth bombs.
So was that a truth bomb that President Trump dropped, or was it just a slip up?
And Wetzel says, "Are we going to see the scaffolding behind the moon set?" That's possible. You never know.
All I know is they got one hell of a selfie stick on top of that shuttle, because I've seen some pretty good pictures, or that rocket. I've seen some pretty good pictures from outside that thing.
Yeah. I noticed that too. So that makes me wonder.
But again, President Trump himself, the commander in chief, the man, the myth, the legend,
alone and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Wow, never been done before.
So what is it? Have we traveled around the moon? Have we
traveled to the moon?
Have they navigated around the dark side of the moon and back to Earth? Or did they? Because this is the first, according to President Trump, this is the first time this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, folks, you can grok it, you can chat GPT it, you can Google it. You're going to find out that there are plenty of Apollo missions that went, at least we were told, went around the dark side of the moon.
Eric says he exaggerates everything. You know, there's times that I do believe that he exaggerates things. But
and
you know, it could be.
Eric could be right. Eric could be right.
Could be
that
right.
Could be President Trump saying, "Under my watch, we went really, really far."
Yeah, but he didn't say any really, really's this time.
He didn't.
Which I was really, really surprised.
Because he does like to embellish some things with his. Yes.
And Mary says, "Where are they traveling to? Antarctica?"
I don't know.
That was the ice wall a couple weeks ago.
We could ask Dope about the bottle rocket. Oh, Red, we're going to have to take a break here because that music keeps coming back on. But before we take a break, we could ask Eric about the trajectory of that bottle rocket that went off out of Florida, because
last
I know they go around the Earth a couple times before they slingshot off into deep space, I guess. I don't know.
I'm sure they have to account for the curvature of the Earth. Sorry.
They do. That's how we.
It'll be the best ever, Donald J. Trump. Eric says.
Okay,
but yeah, and when we were watching it yesterday go up, I'm like, why is it curving? Oh, is it because of the firmament? And because they can't get out the firmament, it curves because it's like the firmament is
Red,
like
we'll pick it up. Let's go into let's allow the music to play this time. So we do.
Okay,
what
do that.
What do we want to talk about, Red? We have to talk about Harry Waite.
Yes.
And not because we want to talk about Harry Waite, but because we have to talk about Harry Waite.
Yes.
And we have a project for everybody, and
it will be posted.
There is a Harry's Army Facebook, X, Telegram,
and Signal
page.
Now the Signal and the Telegram pages, they're both just Harry's Army. You have to basically request to join. Just because I don't want negative in there. I want to keep those platforms supporters. X is Harry's Army 2026. And you did the Facebook page, so it's just Harry's Army.
Okay, so
and
folks,
anybody can join those.
The project is this is going to be a letter writing campaign asking the courts for leniency for Harry Waite at sentencing, which will take place on June 2nd. And on these, it will be up tonight. I promise before I go to bed, it will be up there. So what we have is we have a bulleted list of facts.
Yes.
And what we want are handwritten letters
from your heart
to the judge, and the instructions and the address where to send it. Yeah, it's going to cost everybody 75 cents or
whatever
the cost of a postage stamp is. But I'm asking you to do it. What Harry did for us is certainly worth.
He literally put his life on the line for not only Wisconsin, but for the America, because if this would have been exposed the way that we all hoped and got the attention that it did, then, or it should have, the voting, the mail-in ballots would have been fixed.
In Wisconsin for sure.
Yes.
And hopefully other states would have seen what was happening with Harry Waite in Wisconsin, and they would have taken a deep look at their own problems.
Right.
And
but instead, the judge really tied Harry's hands in his trial, and he was found guilty on 3 of the 4 charges.
So
1 felony, 2 misdemeanors. But
so
they just basically want to make an example of him like they did Tina Peters.
So we're asking everybody to write a letter to Judge, the Honorable Judge Daniel Johnson. The address, it will be in when you log into one of these, when you join one of these teams, you will see it. By the time I go to bed tonight, I promise, it will be up.
We were just waiting for some feedback to see if we missed anything.
And you will see bulleted items of things you can include. You can include any or all of them.
Yes.
But you can be assured that they are factual statements that you can include in your letter.
And you don't have to get real wordy. You don't have to, what we don't want is we don't want the chain letter type letters.
Right. We
want it to be from your heart, how you feel.
Handwritten, short, and to the point.
Yep.
Handwritten is key because the judge will want to see what people are saying, and he'll know that this wasn't some kind of a form letter put out by whomever.
Yep.
So,
but just try to write. I know some people's writings like a doctor's writing, so just try to do it as legible as possible, so then the judge can read it.
And this might be the most important thing that you will do in the coming weeks, is to write this letter and put it in drop it in a mailbox,
and get it there before June 2nd.
And we're also going to ask whatever platform you go to get the address and everything and the instructions on what to do. Just drop a note, a comment, whatever. Let us know that you sent it out, so we can kind of keep a track on how many we can expect Judge Johnson to receive.
Right.
Because we want to influence his mind at the time of sentencing.
Yep.
And we want to put constant reminders. Every day we want him opening mail.
And we want to make sure that he knows that how many people showed up at the trial is not all of us. I want him to know that more people are watching.
And these letters
the situation.
And these letters can come from beyond the borders of Wisconsin.
Yes, it can come from
I don't care
anywhere.
where you live.
Because you know what? We did the same thing for Tina Peters, and look at what the results were so far. We don't know the final result yet, but we had some influence on that.
Boy, we get long-winded sometimes when we talk, right?
Yes, we do.
That's your assignment. See, I thought I had enough music in there. We should have been done long before that music ended.
Well, you need to make the music longer.
Boy, see what I live with, folks?
Hey, you're usually the one that's long-winded. Not always.
Anyway, that's your assignment, folks. We need people to write to Judge Johnson. Look on one of those platforms for Harry's Army, and if you have a problem finding it, contact us at screechowlscott@gmail.com, and we will direct you to where you need to go. So, Red, I want to play another video, because it wasn't just President Trump who was misspeaking.
Well, before you play
Yes.
another video, Dope Nose, and I keep wanting to say his name backwards for some reason. Dope Nose says it goes up and curves, in quotes, curves, as it's turning out to sea. Think about it. The fastest way from one point to another is a straight line. The trajectory should just go straight up and out, no curve.
I'm with Dope on this one. I don't understand. It's one thing if you want to go to Paris, France, and you're going to take the rocket, where maybe you're going to your trajectory is going to be that way. But if your goal is to get to the moon that we see flying overhead or floating overhead, the shortest distance would be a straight line, so straight up or whatever. I know
there was another comment I'm trying to find about the The belt.
What belt?
Shoot, where did it go?
The
Allen something belt.
The Allen radiation belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I seen the comment
And
here,
what
but
was the comment, Red?
that's what I'm trying to find, and I can't find it. Maybe it was in the backstage.
The Van Allen radiation belt. Yes, it does exist, and I've always questioned how the initial Apollo rockets made it through there. And you know, when you search it, they tell you, well, they try and go through like very fast, so their exposure to radiation is as minimal as possible. But well, you see
can't find it.
See if you can find it, because maybe someone had an explanation as to, and maybe they were questioning how they get through the Van Allen radiation belt.
Yep, they were. Oh, here it is. Duh. Mary says, I want to know how they pass through the Van Allen belt without burning up. How do they get through the firmament? I often ask that too.
Is the moon inside the firmament? Must be. Don't you think?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Red. We'll have to do some research.
From what I understand, no, but
You'll have to ask Grok.
I don't know. I'm not asking Grok.
Huh. Anyway, I want to play.
Grok doesn't know.
I want to play a video though, because another video, and it's just a short one. If I can find it, because it wasn't only President Trump who had a slip up then, because I believe in this video that I have, they talk about the historic event that took place yesterday.
Okay.
So let's see what they had to say.
Itself on or come from the ground. Now, shortly after liftoff, Houston will take control of the rocket, and my colleague Gary Jordan will take over commentary.
GLS, go for your left.
Great call out. The rocket is on its own. 4 brave explorers ready to ride the most powerful rocket NASA has ever.
I want, before we go on, the most powerful rocket that NASA has ever launched. Yet it's going to take longer for them to reach the dark side of the moon than it did with the last. Or I shouldn't say the last, because it may not have been the last, but one of the Apollo rockets.
Right.
It's taking like twice as long.
Right.
With the most powerful rocket that NASA has ever launched.
Yep.
Let's play it out, because I think he's going to say something pretty clever here.
Launched. Sound suppression water is flowing. And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines. 4, 3, 2, 1. Boost
April Fool's Day.
ignition.
Nice try.
And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Humanity's next great voyage begins. Didn't it begin in the 60s?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
this is the same
allegedly.
voyage. This is the same voyage that we're told took place in the 60s. Why? How is this the next greatest voyage of humanity, Red? Talk to me.
Oh, that's another good point. How are they going to have enough fuel to do that?
I can't remember if he says it again or not.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Eric, I think the roll pitch here is when they start heading out to sea.
Integrity, AMT high.
On time passes 30 seconds into the Integrity passes the ultimate beacon. Target milestone. Mission control used to see good performance.
Wait, target milestone?
Space launch system core stage. Integrity 3 miles in altitude. Going more than 1,200 miles per hour.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Red. Another great step for humanity right there. The next great one, I thought I had another picture. I bet I. Doggone it. I had another one of the lunar module that landed on the moon, and you know that thing that looks like a spider.
Yep.
And I actually showed it popping back off when it left the moon from the Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
And my spidey sense tells me that that's all BS.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know...
Because there was like a firecracker underneath the thing that went bang, and it shot it up into the air.
Well, and when I watch the videos from back then, I look at them thinking, like what Mary said, you know, our cell service on Earth sucks. But back then, how could they talk to the people up there? And Nate made a good point in the chat in the backstage about the satellites. I'll give you that. But is the satellites, are they bouncing off the satellites for the video then too? Because how do they get such a close-up video of them getting off the shuttle and land or stepping onto the moon?
No. Yeah, I don't know. It
And you're telling me that a suit that they're wearing is going to automatically ground them to the moon, you know, like we do on Earth, called gravity. But yet, if they're out doing a spacewalk and they're wearing that same suit, they're floating around.
Well, the moon does have a little bit of gravity of its own, like we have here on Earth. But I don't think it's the same gravitational pull, but I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I've just been a sucker my entire life, in my opinion. I don't know. I think I believed it like everybody else. And I watched all these people lined up. I'm thinking Dope wasn't one of them, because he seems to think it was like a big bottle rocket. But there were a lot of people that were watching that were just like cheering like they do, and younger, you know, the younger generation, and you know, giant leap for mankind kind of thing. Oh,
Well,
and it was very emotional.
We
for
do that
them.
on the 4th of July when we watch the fireworks too.
We do, but you know,
and Eric says actually cell service doesn't suck everywhere. The U.S. is notorious for poor cell and internet service. And you know, we were in Milwaukee and Racine last Monday and Tuesday, and I swear, in one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the state, the cell service sucked. We couldn't get anything to go out, like if we were sending text messages and stuff. It's like, what are they trying to block our cell phones or something?
Right. You know,
in towns like that, you would think you shouldn't have a problem.
I just know. I think they said. I think I read that 8 Apollo missions landed on the moon. I believe it was 8.
Okay, and Anita says that they sent the camera guy ahead of time.
Well,
that's my only logical
I think,
explanation.
Number one, you know, we have a lot of people who are concerned about the environment here on Earth, and when I think back to the Apollo missions, you know, we were not good stewards of the land, because we left a lot of garbage there. When you think about it, because
I wonder if the flag is still there. You know, you can see certain things on the moon if you have a high-powered telescope. Why is it we don't see the flag?
I don't know. I've never looked through a powerful enough telescope to know, to be honest with you. But I don't know if it's still there. But I know some of the other garbage that we left is still there.
Is it?
Well, I mean, I don't know where it would have gone, Red. The little...
Well,
when the lunar
trash
module is popped off its legs with that firecracker that they used to send it.
Well, maybe
that's still
if
there
they
because
sling around the moon like they're talking, then we'll see the stuff still on the moon.
I watched footage today of the lunar modules with the 2 astronauts on popping up back to go meet the 3rd astronaut, and the camera was there on the surface of the moon, taking pictures of it leaving the surface of the moon. So we left the camera, we left part of the base there.
We left the flag.
They had that cool little Jeep that they were driving around up there. I don't think they packed that up, and I'm trying to figure out how the hell they got it there to begin with. Because
it didn't look big enough.
Those little capsules that they land on the surface of the moon.
You know, I never thought about that until you just said it. So therefore they had to drive it up there?
I don't think they had a trailer on the back. I don't know. None of it makes sense to me, and you know, I'm I know we have some people who put 100 in here, you
Mhm.
know, and maybe it did happen, and maybe I'm just being a wacko. I will say that
Mary said she always wondered the same thing too. And Eric says we won't have communication with them on the dark side, right? As far as I know, no.
I think so because I do remember.
Well, if you watch the movie or not Apollo 13, Armageddon, when they slung around the backside of the moon, they lost communication, remember? But that's a movie.
Is it a movie?
Or was it predictive programming?
Or was it that? I don't know, Red.
There was no delay when the astronauts talked to us, but when we hear the media talk to reporters in another country, there is a delay. That's true.
There were,
because they're bouncing off the same satellites.
you know, I guess the fact that like NASA didn't send those feeds out to networks back during the Apollo time, those guys were like in NASA, like filming whatever NASA put up there on the screen.
Right. And
they
if you
didn't have feeds.
If you see some videos, excuse me, if you see some videos, why is there air bubbles when they're on the moon?
I don't know, but there's also some crazy that was running around with a Bible and he would approach astronauts. He would chase these guys down, the Apollo astronauts, and ask them to swear on a Bible that they went to the moon and landed on the moon, and none of them would do it.
Right.
I mean, none of them.
And you had Buzz Aldrin asked by, I don't remember how old the kid was.
Like a 7 or 8 year old little girl asked her. Or asked him.
Asked him. And he told the truth. It said, I don't know, I'd like to know the same thing if we ever went there. Or however he words it. I'm sure that everybody's seen that video. If not, maybe next week we'll quick play it because I forgot to have you upload it.
I don't know, Red. I know technology has changed a great deal since 1972 or 74, the last time we landed on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say definitively, like in my mind, do I think that it will happen. I guess we're going to find out in 2028. The thing that worries me is everything has improved so much. So they can make it look a lot more like
now they've got the CGI.
Right. So it's a lot it's a lot different. Back then, we can pick apart the videos. We can pick apart the fact that some people saw scaffolding and some of the things that surfaced now. The fact that we lived in Nevada where the terrain looked an awful, when you got away from Las Vegas, the terrain looked like an awful lot like the surface of the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Like it could have been filmed in Area 51 because
maybe that's why
we were never there. Maybe that's why we can't go there.
Exactly. And if you I don't know how many people have been to Nevada and tried to go by Area 51. You really can't park.
Remember that night we went up there and I took one of those balloons that light up and I filled it with helium and let it go and all the people were going crazy?
FYI, he never did that.
I wanted to.
He wanted to, but we never did that. No, you have military people that swarm you if you
get too close.
Yes. Or if you park for too long or stop for too long, whatever. So maybe that's why they don't want you close by. You can't see what they're actually doing. They don't want you to know.
All right, Red. Well,
maybe that's another one maybe next week we'll talk about Area 51. What's really there?
I don't know. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, that is scary stuff.
But who knows? Maybe we will.
Maybe we will. We'll figure out something for next.
We do have a guest, I think, next Wednesday.
Oh yeah. Well, Wednesday or Thursday?
I think Wednesday.
Okay.
Which is good. I think.
Well, just like the Challenger astronauts that are still living, supposedly they blew up. Supposedly one was a professor at Madison, and I will agree, Mary. I will agree with you because at the Sandy Hook shooting, there was one of the astronauts was there as a teacher that died again.
Well, there are definitely people have provided some, and again, we have to remember the time we live in. With AI, you can do a lot of things, but people have provided some some pictures with really uncanny resemblance to the Challenger astronauts, who all supposedly
Some of them still have the same name.
perished. So I don't
And
know.
yes, one of them was a professor.
I think it's
after they blew up in Madison.
I think it's a good way to take our tax dollars and do whatever. Every once in a while, they fire a big bottle rocket into the sky like they did yesterday, and everybody goes, ooh, look at us.
Look at the fireworks. Look at the fireworks.
They'll play it up big, and 2 years from now, we're going to go to the moon, and with a manned mission to the moon, which we already did, so I don't know why they're going to make a big deal out of it. Well, they claim we did, is what I'm saying.
They claim that they were going to go to Mars next. I don't know whatever happened to that.
I don't know.
But, yeah, all our tax dollars that go to this, but yet, where does that money really go?
Who knows? Maybe it's fun.
Smurf money?
Maybe it's fun. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's Smurf money.
Maybe that's how they.
I mean, when you think
pay
of
these people to go protest,
gazillions of dollars that are being sent to NASA.
Well, just like on the movie Independence Day, when the dad, I can't think of his name in the movie, says, "You really think that they pay $500 for a hammer or $1,000, however dollar amount for a toilet seat? How do you think they get funding?" Well, that's how they get their funding.
Exactly.
But
Red.
It's not funding for that. I'm sure that the funding goes elsewhere. Just like everything else that we've learned this last year about from Doge.
Yep. It goes somewhere.
That's the one thing they left out, though. They should have been looking at the moon landing. Doge, tell Elon.
Doesn't Elon?
Excuse me.
Elon's got his hands in the Mars mission.
That's true. I forgot about that. Excuse me.
Even Elon's not going to find fraud going to NASA and to the space program.
Eric asked, "Do you believe that we sent people to the space station?" Well, that's a tough one.
For me, that's more believable than.
Correct. Because they could have just had a really tall ladder to get them into this little thing. I don't think. I mean, I that one is a really tough one to answer, but I also have to question back if we sent people to the space station, and I don't recall seeing those shuttles come back, to drop them off and come back. How are they stuck up there? The shuttle should still be there.
No, the shuttles came back.
Did they come back? Because I never. I don't remember seeing them.
That was one reusable spacecraft.
I don't remember seeing them come back. So
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong on that one.
But so I don't know. Maybe if they gave me the opportunity, Eric, if you have any connections to anybody who can get me a ride on one of these things.
Well, Elon was
maybe
if
I saw it for myself.
You have to pay a couple $100,000.
If they invited me to go, if anybody wants to cover my cost for a round trip ticket, it's got to be a round trip ticket though.
Well, yeah.
I don't want I don't want any of these one-way tickets.
Well, you could go up like Katy Perry did.
No, I want to really go. If I'm going to go, I want to go to the International Space Station and hang out with a Russian. I just don't want to be trapped up there for like a year, like some of these people have been.
Right.
I don't want there to be any question I'm coming home when I want to come home.
Well, there was that one space station, I don't remember how long ago it was, where they said that they were going to be stuck up there longer than what they originally planned. So I hope they sure had enough food.
But Eric, I have hope that some of this happened. I grew up watching the Jetsons. I'm going to date myself a little bit here.
Yeah, because then we could live on the moon.
And I'd like to think that space travel is a real thing, and I want to believe it. Too many things regarding the Apollo program make me question whether any of it happened.
Well, let's get back over to this. Where is it? Dope Nose says, modern smartphones contain millions of times more computing power than the technology that took NASA's first astronauts to the moon. They basically went to the moon, quote unquote, using a pocket calculator for guidance. That's a great point.
And I read that today as well, so I'm in agreement with dope on that one. I want to know how they did it, because it's not something that you're popping out a slide rule and saying. I mean,
And then Mary, maybe they use it on military stuff like the jets and so forth. I would hope so anyway. I remember when I was a kid looking through binoculars watching the space station go over our house, because she used to live in Florida.
well, it
I
goes
have
all
no
over.
clue if people were in it though. But you know what? He said something when that second video that you played, they're going to go up so far and then NASA control is going to take over. Why would they take over? Wouldn't you think that the people that's on the ship needs to control their own way up there? You know,
Well, I don't
just
know.
like an airplane.
You're supposedly traveling at 25,000 miles an hour. I don't know, Red.
They're supposed to be prepared for that.
I don't know, but now, and Eric might know the altitude of, or what is the distance of like the International Space Station from the
I don't
surface
know.
of the Earth. You're not in deep outer space. Am I correct, Eric? I think Eric would confirm that for me. You're not in deep space, which makes it more conceivable to me that the International Space
Can you say
Station,
that? Can you say that
not
word?
very well, exists and people are actually on board. Although I've seen some things from the space station that are a little bit weird too, with hair not floating, and some days it floats and some days it does. The whole
Well,
zero
apparently
gravity
they
thing.
have some sort of gravity thingy in the space shuttles, and sometimes they just don't have them on. And Eric says he does not know.
Okay, he does not know, but I don't believe they're in deep outer space with the International Space Station. I think it's at a.
But I do know that you pointed out yesterday that when the shuttle was up there, they took a picture of Earth. And you said, hey, look, it is round. And I said, hey, look at it again. It looks like a half slice of
Yeah, you did.
pie.
You did say that.
So they made it look like there was a firmament over top of the Earth. It was only a half of Earth.
Huh.
That would be.
Maybe they slipped up. They took the picture at the wrong time. They weren't right over the top of it, so they.
Eric says 250 miles.
250 miles. So that's, to me, that's conceivable. That. Thank you, Eric, for looking that up. It's conceivable that at 250 miles, there are people living there, and I would check 250 miles. Hell, that's like from here to Chicago. I would make that trip, as long as I don't end up like the Challenger people.
Right. One blew that way.
No, we're not going to. Red. Great.
Sorry.
Bad minds think alike. I was thinking the same thing, but I was.
You usually
I was
say
not
it.
going to say it. I can't believe that you did.
Well, I said it because of what Mary said earlier.
All right, Red. We're up against the hour, and there is something very serious that I want to close the show with tonight,
Okay.
Red. And so we're going to go from laughing about your little comment
Sorry.
to, folks, if you've been able to see the screen, we've got some numbers along the bottom of the screen. There's a reason we did this. So we had done a show not too long ago about suicide and the problems that people have in this country, and unfortunately it was not watched by many people because it's not a subject that people want to talk about. The reason that we put that up there tonight, we have some young people who are very close to us who lost their father, their stepfather. He was stepfather to 3, father to 1, and when I say 1, his own child, his biological child, is about 2.5, 3 years old, and this week life got to be too hard for him, and he went out into the woods and he shot himself.
Yes.
And there are 4 kids, and the 3 older kids, they lost their dad, their biological dad, to
along with another child.
Yes.
Their dad. So
four children lost their dad.
Yes. And then just recently was the 3 older kids lost a stepdad, with the one
Just last week.
Yep, just last week. And the one 2.5 to 3-year-old lost her dad.
So it's
she'll never know her dad.
She'll never know her daddy, and it's just sad. And we want to just remind people that Red and I did the show, and we both been down that road where we thought there was no alternative, and that was going to be the only option available to us. And thankfully, neither of us, we are still here. But we just want to, if you're struggling at all tonight,
or in the future,
you'll see the number scrolling down. The easy number to remember is 988. It's the National Suicide Hotline number. We're just going to ask you to call that number and speak to someone, and they can direct you to, they can just talk to you, but they can also provide some assistance, some direction on where to turn for help. And if you don't want to talk
to 988,
there's another number, 920-332-3800. A little more difficult to remember, but write it down. That is a number that Red and I have dedicated to anybody who needs to talk. If you need to talk and you don't want to call the suicide hotline, we're not trained in any way, shape, or form.
No, but we always listen.
But we will talk to anybody. We will listen to anything that anybody has to say.
And you've experienced somebody calling you in the middle of the night.
If you need to talk to someone and you've got nowhere else to turn, give us a call, because we will hear you out. We will be your soundboard. We're
not going to dismiss you like a lot of people would.
Or cry hysterically. Whatever you need to do to get through another hour or another day, please don't hesitate to call, because
you were put on God's green earth for a reason, and you do have a purpose. Whether you feel like you don't, you do have a purpose.
These children hit home for us because we know them very, very well. They're
we do.
Very close to us. And the idea that they're going through this, their own father, just a few short years ago,
2020,
and now their stepfather, just 6 years later, and what those poor children are going through, and we know that there are people hurting throughout this country.
Yeah, and we're coming upon the anniversary of the first one's passing at the end of April.
And he was very close to us.
Close to us.
I had put out the word to him, please, because I knew he was struggling. And I said, if you ever need to talk, please call me.
And he did. He talked to us a lot.
He talked to us a lot, but on this day he didn't.
And we don't know that he...
We don't know if it was intentional suicide with him, but in any event, we might have been able to talk him through it.
Instead of having him turn to alcohol. Because that's what we were told was alcohol took that one.
But we know we're living in a time right now where people are struggling. There's so much division in this country. There's a lot of hatred between people.
A lot of confusion.
People who used to get along, they can't talk about things because they're divided by politics or by whatever it might be. And people are struggling, and we just want to make sure that you understand there are places you can go to call, to talk to someone, including the Red and Screech hotline. So please, I'll leave this number up, and as the music plays us out, and I'm gonna play a very special song tonight for our going out song, Red. Okay. It's very special to me. It's not going to appeal to everybody. The song is titled "Be Close," and the lyrics are powerful, and I'm just going to go ahead and play it. And when we come out, when we're finished with this song, we will close out the show. So, folks, that was that song. Just I thought it was very fitting for what we just talked about to close out this show tonight. Sorry, I was closing up some things. I will also point out, somebody did comment, if you use Red and the number that we've provided for Red and I, absolutely, it is confidential.
Confidential, definitely.
It will go no further than one or both of us talking to you and yourself. I mean, it's that simple. We know that sometimes people are in need, and
the only way that it would ever go any further between the three of us or the two of us is if you specifically asked us to get help, as in like a professional, like a hospital or doctor
or whomever.
Yeah,
but
otherwise, no, it would stay right between the two of us or the three of us, depending on if all three of us are talking at the same time or not.
And I think Red pointed out, so, and we've talked about this before, so this isn't like earth-shattering news. We've talked about it. Our granddaughter, this family who experienced this loss this week, it's the half brothers and sisters of our granddaughter.
Yep.
And our granddaughter lost her daddy in 2020.
Yep. And we're coming
to
up
either
on that
an accidental suicide or we're not sure what it was, but he drank himself to death. And
she was the one that found him, and she was only 5 years old at the time. It was just her and him at the house.
So our granddaughter and her half siblings lost their daddy 6 years ago, and just this week now, her half brother and half sisters lost their stepdad, who decided that he couldn't handle it, and his only option was suicide, and he shot himself. And this poor grieving family, our heart goes out to them. And so, yes, absolutely confidential. Again, call 988 if you are in need of help. And if you want to talk to Screech or Red, it's 920-332-3800. 24 hours a day. We promise to answer the phone, and it will remain confidential. And that's about all I have.
Anyway.
Right? You got anything else, Red?
No, it's kind of hard to close out a show after that.
I know, it's tough, but we have to talk about these things.
Yes, we do.
And
we can't hide it. It's real.
It's real. A
lot of people don't believe it's real, but it is real.
And if you recognize, understand, and I don't want to go off and just take this to an hour and a half long show, but just watch the people around you. If you see someone that's struggling, and we talked about, I won't go into it, but just
go back and listen to the show that we dedicated to it, and you can see the signs.
Be mindful of different signs, and don't be afraid to ask.
And don't be afraid to compliment people. Do, a kind gesture to somebody goes way more further than what you would ever expect it. I mean, trust me, I can guarantee you, because I've been through it.
So, that's going to be it for the night. I debated whether I would end with a prayer, and I maybe I won't.
Maybe not tonight. And I say that mainly because
we're running long, and we want to end on a happy note. So now we've talked about that.
So watch the Harry's Army platform or pages on Twitter or X, Facebook. Join the ones on Signal or on Telegram if you don't go on Facebook or X. But we will get that information put up tonight.
Before I go to bed, now understand, Screech doesn't go to bed early, so you might not see it till morning.
Right.
But it will be up.
It will be up. And tomorrow night, AJ's here at Ribbon Rabbit Hole live show at 8 p.m. I don't know what he's going to be talking about. I didn't think
don't either.
Ask him today. But I can guarantee you it's going to be a good one.
Well,
because he's been posting a lot of articles that are really good.
AJ's been on fire. So
he's
check it out at rippandrabbithole.com. All the letters are posted there, and they've been floating around social media too. But go to rippandrabbithole.com. You'll see all the articles that
AJ's posted
in the past few days. And the man has been on fire.
Yep.
And
coming out with a lot of truth bombs.
Truth bombs, kind of like what President Trump gave us last night.
Yes.
Red? That's about it. So let's shut her down for the night. So
all right. You know what?
What?
Let's stop wasting people's time. We have a republic to save.
Very good. Have a good night.
Have a
folks.
good night.